The old bookstore was Eleanor's quiet corner of the world. It was a place where stories slept on dusty shelves, just waiting for someone to wake them. She loved the smell of aging paper and ink. It was a scent that promised adventure and comfort all at once. Outside, the rain fell in a steady, determined rhythm against the large front window. But inside, Eleanor felt safe. She ran her fingers along the spines of books, each one a small, sturdy door to another life. The gentle hum of the overhead lights and the soft rustle of pages were the only sounds. For her, this was not just a shop, it was a sanctuary, a place where the noise of the world faded into a gentle murmur. On this particular Tuesday, the rain was relentless. It washed the city streets clean, turning the grey pavement into a shimmering mirror. Most people hurried past, heads bowed under umbrellas. But then the little bell above the door chimed, a bright, cheerful sound against the drumming rain. A man stood there, shaking water from his dark hair. He wasn't a regular. Eleanor knew all the regulars. This man was different. He wore a jacket spattered with vibrant colours, bright blues and vivid yellows that seemed to defy the gloomy day. He looked around, a little lost, as if he had stumbled into a world he did not quite understand. He was seeking shelter, that much was clear. He offered a small, apologetic smile. "Quite a storm out there," he said, his voice soft. Eleanor nodded, a quiet smile of her own gracing her lips. "It is," she replied, "but it's always dry in here." He walked further into the store, his eyes wide with a kind of gentle curiosity. He didn't head for the bestsellers or the history section. Instead, he seemed drawn to the light, to the way it fell across the wooden floors and illuminated the dust motes dancing in the air. He was a splash of brilliant color in her muted, peaceful haven, a sudden and unexpected disruption to the quiet order of her day. Eleanor watched him from behind the counter. He was not looking at the books, not really. He was looking at the shapes they made, the patterns of light and shadow they created. He seemed to see the bookstore not as a collection of stories, but as a painting waiting to happen. His name, she would soon learn, was Liam, and he was a painter, a man who lived his life in bold strokes and brilliant hues. He had come in only to escape the rain, a temporary visitor. But something in the quiet stillness of the place held him, and he stayed, dripping silently onto the worn wooden floorboards. Liam finally approached the counter, his hands tucked into his pockets. "You have a lovely place here," he said, his gaze sweeping across the tall shelves that reached toward the ceiling. "It's so calm." Eleanor felt a warmth spread through her chest. "It's my favorite place," she admitted. "The world is loud. It's quiet in here." He understood. He gestured to his jacket. "I'm usually out there in the loud part. I paint landscapes. I chase the light." He spoke of fields of wildflowers and fiery sunsets, of the brilliant green of new spring leaves. His world was one of open skies and endless color, so different from her own enclosed universe of printed words. They talked for what felt like hours, though it was only a short while. The rain continued its steady rhythm, a gentle backdrop to their conversation. Eleanor spoke of her favorite authors, of characters who felt more real to her than most people she knew. She described the magic of getting lost in a story, of living 1,000 different lives without ever leaving her chair. Liam listened, truly listened. He told her how he saw colors in everything, even in the gray of the storm. He saw the deep indigo of the clouds, the silver streaks of rain, the warm gold of the bookstore's lights. He saw the world as a canvas. When the rain finally softened to a light drizzle, Liam made no move to leave. He pulled a small sketchbook from his bag, its pages filled with quick, vibrant watercolor studies. He showed her a painting of a boat on a calm sea, the water a dozen shades of blue. He had captured the feeling of peace, the very same feeling Eleanor found within the pages of a book. She, in turn, pulled a slim volume of poetry from a nearby shelf. She read a few lines aloud, her voice soft but clear. The words painted pictures in his mind, just as his colors told her stories. They were sharing their worlds piece by piece. Before he left, as the last of the afternoon light filtered through the clouds, Liam hesitated. "I'd like to come back," he said, his eyes meeting hers. "If that's all right." A genuine smile bloomed on Eleanor's face, bright and unexpected. "I'd like that," she said, and she meant it. The bell chimed as he walked out the door, leaving behind the faint scent of rain and turpentine. The bookstore felt a little quieter after he was gone, but it was a different kind of quiet now. It was a quiet filled with anticipation, with the promise of a new story just beginning. Liam did come back. He returned the next day and the day after that. The rain was gone, replaced by a bright, cheerful sun, but he still sought out the quiet dimness of the bookstore. He would bring his sketchbook, setting himself up in a comfortable armchair in the corner. He didn't paint the store itself. Instead, he painted from the stories Eleanor told him. As she described the windswept moors of Wuthering Heights, his brush would fly across the paper, creating a landscape of moody purples and dark, brooding greens. He painted the golden fields from a Steinbeck novel and the glittering ballrooms from a Jane Austen classic. Eleanor would watch him, fascinated. She had always seen these worlds in her mind, constructed from black letters on a white page. But Liam gave them color and form. He brought them to life in a way she had never imagined. In return, she shared her most treasured books with him. She gave him tales of epic journeys and quiet, personal triumphs. He would take them home and return with his thoughts, not just on the plot, but on the feeling of the story, the colors it evoked in his soul. This one felt like a warm sunset, he would say, or this one was like a cold blue morning. Their time together became a comfortable ritual. He would paint, she would read or organize shelves, and they would talk in soft voices. The other customers barely noticed them, two quiet souls in their own shared world. He learned about her dream of one day writing her own book. She learned about his frustration with a particular shade of yellow that he could never seem to get quite right. Their conversations were simple, easy. They spoke of small things, but these small things began to build a bridge between his world of light and color and her world of words and stories. Slowly, the bookstore began to change for Eleanor. It was still her sanctuary, but it was no longer just a place of solitude. It was now a place of connection. She started to see the colors Liam saw. She noticed the way the morning sun made the spines of the red books glow like embers. She saw the deep, calming blue of the history section. The shop was still filled with stories, but now a new one was being written within its very walls. It was a story of two people from different worlds, finding a common language in art and literature, a quiet romance blooming amongst the shelves. One crisp autumn afternoon, weeks after they first met, Liam came into the bookstore carrying something large and flat, wrapped in simple brown paper. He seemed nervous, his usual easy smile replaced by a look of earnest anticipation. He walked straight to the counter where Eleanor was sorting through a new delivery of books. "I have something for you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. He carefully placed the wrapped object on the counter, his hands gentle, as if it were the most precious thing in the world. Eleanor's heart gave a little flutter. She looked from his hopeful face to the mysterious gift. With trembling fingers, she carefully tore away the paper. It was a painting, but it wasn't a landscape or a scene from a book. It was a painting of her. She was sitting in her favorite armchair in the corner of the bookstore, a book open in her lap. The light from the window illuminated her face, and in her expression, Liam had captured a look of perfect, peaceful contentment. He had painted the bookstore around her, not as a dark and dusty place, but as a haven glowing with warm golden light. All the colors he had told her about were there. The deep blues, the gentle golds, the rich warm wood tones. Tears welled in Eleanor's eyes as she stared at the canvas. He had painted her world, but he had painted it through his eyes. He had filled it with his light, with his color, with his love. "It's how I see you," Liam said softly, his hand reaching out to gently rest on hers. "You're always surrounded by all these wonderful stories. But I think our story could be the best one of all." He took a deep breath, his gaze steady and full of a love that was as clear and bright as the colors on his palette. He was not just giving her a painting, he was giving her his heart. "Eleanor," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "I came in here to get out of the rain, but I found everything I was ever looking for. Let me be a part of your world. Let me add my color to your words." It was not a grand declaration, but it was everything. Eleanor looked from the painting of her quiet world, now vibrant with his light, to the man standing before her, his heart open and waiting. A joyful, tearful smile spread across her face. "Yes," she whispered, her voice full of all the hope and happiness she felt. "Yes." And in the quiet of the bookstore, their two different worlds finally beautifully became one.